LessonsLearnt. I'm Sherry. This is Finish It Friday. So here we are again, another Friday and more finishes. I worked on a few things this week. As you know from the Wednesday video, you saw I got all of my A and B blocks done of our Scrappy Celebration Sew Along. How are you doing with yours? Now, you shouldn't have this many done yet unless you're just a Speedy Gonzalez, especially if you're doing 2 a day. But you should have all of yours done by next Wednesday's video, where we will do C and D. Now, I did show these on the end of the Wednesday video if you didn't see those, so I'm not going to spread them out. But I did get to the Pieceful basket sampler, and I decided to go ahead and put all 4 of them up here so that you can see them all together. Starting to look cute. This yellow one is the one that I did this week or this month. The new box, so sampler box, is just about to ship out again, so I waited a little while getting this one done, but had other things to do. So I also got my Simply Jelly Roll sampler quilt done. Got all those borders on. That was what was on the board back here last week, and I took a picture of that outside hanging so you can get a good look of how it looks with all the borders attached. And I did get that medium blue shade floral to go on the very outer border of it. So there it is. That was a fun sew along, easy. Yes, got it done. It's a big one. I forget what it measures, but I think it's like 90 by 90 or something like that. I saw Pat Sloan. She showed hers a few videos back outside like that, and she was talking about how big it was, and it seemed like it was 90 something by 90 something. So I didn't measure it. I didn't see what it come out to be, but it's big and it's square. That will lead us right into your finishes for this week. And the first one that came in this week was by Gail, and this is a tote. And Gail has showed us her totes before, but here's what she has to say about it. She says, a few weeks ago, I sent you the Quilt As You Go shopper tote photos for Finish It Friday using the June Taylor printed batting and using my Jungle Paradise fabric. I loved it so much that I made this June Taylor Sophie tote with more of my Jungle Paradise stash by Stacy at Sue for Moda. I'm giving the larger shopper tote to my girlfriend who needs it to carry her charity-made bears and supplies to her sewing guild. And I'm keeping this smaller Sophie tote to carry my yarn and supplies to my weekly Project Linus meetings. I finished this tote this morning. That was back on last Friday, and I'm so thrilled with the way it turned out. Here are both sides, and Gail comes to us from Florida. So you may have remembered these totes that she made. She made a quite a bit larger one than this, and then this is the smaller version, the Sophie tote. And I love your Jungle Paradise fabric. I think that's what it's called. Yes, Jungle Paradise stash. So she keeps this print around to make totes out of. Very nice job. Love it. Shirley has a finish here of one of those 3D type quilts that just jumps out at you. She says, hello, I shared a picture of the finished top a few months ago. Now I just completely finished sewing the binding on. This was a quilt I took a class for called Why Not? Like the letter Y. Why Not? It was quilted by a woman here in the town where I live and a member of the guild I just joined earlier this year. It measures approximately 85 by 115. It's heavy. I have to say, I'm not a fan of working with black fabric. Yeah, it can play tricks on your eyes, can't it? So Shirley is in Alaska, and she has her Why or Why Not quilt all quilted up, and I love the quilt pattern that was chosen for it. It really does complement well the design there. Amazing. That is an amazing quilt, and a nice large one too. Great job, Shirley. Thanks for sending it again. Karen, she did my modern crayon quilt pattern from a few weeks ago. And she says, here are the lap quilts I made using mini charm packs and jelly rolls. The blue one was first try. The pink used Riley Blake breast cancer jelly roll. I'm disabled, so can't stand, and cutting when sitting is hard for long cuts. I collect mini charm pack with no real idea what to use them for, but they're always on sale, and who can resist a bargain? So this was perfect for me. I did have trouble with the layout, no design wall for me, so I had some difficulty with layout, but convinced my must-have symmetry brain to just let go. Sometimes you do. You can just talk yourself in and out of an arrangement of blocks until you're blue in the face, right? So sometimes you just have to just let it go and let it be, right? So she has the blue one and the pink one, and remember I made those with those primary colors plus some green and pink, I think, and she's done hers up in some mini charm packs and jelly rolls. So that works out great as a pattern for someone who can't stand to cut long distances. You can't stand at the table to do that. Those pre-cuts are perfect for this, and I love both of your quilts. This one is by Jane. This is her Simply Jelly Roll sampler. So this is her version of it. And she says she purchased the background fabric, but all the blues were from scraps and leftovers from other projects. Note that I made both versions of the pretzel block in the top row, and I only made the top flower part of the caramel block, no stems. I also chose not to add the outside plain border. I figured it was large enough and didn't need it. This was a fun sampler to make and help to use up scraps. So yeah, you can take any of these sew-alongs that Pat has, or any of us have really that are online here, and just take your scraps and go through those. And we see here how Jane has collected together her blue shades, and it makes a really cool quilt. What she's mentioning there is the upper left and right blocks are different, and then her second row she just used 2 flower heads sitting on top of each other instead of using the leaf portion of the flower. Turned out great, nice and symmetrical, and I don't blame you for not putting another border around it because it is big. I love your rendition of it. This one is by Carolyn, and do you recognize this? She says, I love your YouTube channel and rarely miss an episode. Thank you, Carol. For various reasons, I seem to have lost my sojo, but when I saw your tutorial on this cute apple quilt, I was finally excited to get back in my sewing room. Yay! I started this quilt during the No Buy July with the reds and the backing donated by my friend Rita from her stash, and the creams and greens from my stash. This same friend suggested making one of the apples green. I think it does add a bit of whimsy to the quilt. Well, good for you on many counts, Carolyn. The fact that you liked the channel and you got your sojo back and you complied with your No Buy July by begging fabric from your friend. Oh, I know you didn't beg, but a lot of times our friends, the people that, quilt with us and so on, other, guild members, whatever, they may have something that they're more than willing to trade for or to donate to you. I love your quilt. It looks very good, and the whimsy of the green apple is brilliant. I love it. You could make an entire quilt of a variety of color of apples. Just another idea for you there if you so desire. Your backing is, I don't know how to describe it. It's just gorgeous. It's got those birds in it. It's got apples, tree leaves. I love it. I love it. I absolutely do. Looks like there's some plums in there too. And pears. Okay. That's perfect. I love that. Absolutely love that. Okay, Shelly. Now, Shelly sent us a portion of this a week or two ago. And I think I commented on there that it was that Zanzibar line, but I don't think it is because she sent another that says it's called Prairie. No, the pattern is Prairie Garden. The fabric is Ebony Sweet from Moda. So I love how your quilt turned out. That is one classy quilt. I must say so myself. It's very classy, and that would look wonderful on anyone's couch. Beautiful. Then we have Kathy's finished Star of Wonder. Now, I saw this on the Facebook group, and she's got it all quilt up and bound now, and it is very pretty. What a stately star that is. She says, just finished the binding on my Star of Wonder quilt. That was on Wednesday. Thought you might want to see it finished. While I was quilting, I realized I made a mistake on the light green on the first block and turned them the wrong way. Ugh, this quilt drove me crazy, but it's done, and unless someone made it, they won't see the error. Thanks so much for all the time you spend providing great content and help. Happy quilting, Kathy. Kathy, as you know, just about everybody had some challenges with this quilt pattern, so you're not alone on this, let me tell you. But you got it going on good here, and your quilting, if you look at that close up, I hope you all are able to see this. This is free motion quilting that she has done, and it is exquisite. Very good. We have one from Susan, and I like this story. She says, here's a quilt which I recently finished. An elderly lady in my charity sewing group gifted me with an antique cigar box containing a vintage quilt project started by her grandmother. It was filled with fabric scraps, 3-inch squares, and several hand-pieced blocks. There was a cardboard template cut from an old Kellogg's cereal box. I enjoyed putting it all together into a small quilt, and I'm just waiting for her to return so that I can gift it back to her. She's going to be thrilled that you got that done. That is, I love these vintage fabrics. They are just so lovely. I love them. And you made this quilt up. If that person only knew that you have this quilt finished, and then the one who gave it to you, you said she was an elderly lady, so imagine, I don't know what, this is probably from the 30s, the squares. Love that history. Just love it. And then Sundyed Carol has one done, and this is interesting. She says, here's another quilt I just finished, and it measures 83 by 93. The fabric used in this quilt was 5 tropical shirts my husband never wore. Well, why did he have 5 of them then? I was going to donate them, but decided they would make a great charity quilt. I used 2 different color sashings for the blocks and also for the binding. I quilted it with an all-over leaf pattern on my sit-down long arm machine. I think this quilt would be great for a guy. Yes, I can definitely tell that those are men's Hawaiian shirts. But look what a great quilt it made up. It's awesome. Yes, it would make a great guy quilt. So good for you for recycling those shirts. If they're not getting worn, they might as well be put into a quilt. And I love your design. Okay, that looks like all we have for this week, and that was a nice little show. Last week was kind of light, so this week is just right, just Goldilocks right. And so I wanted to let you know also that the Blues Boutiques quilt is on its way to its new owner, and I'm not going to give the name of the person, but they are a subscriber to the channel. They are a new quilter, and they did donate one of the blocks into the quilt, and she said she would have kept on bidding if she needed to get that quilt. And if you remember, I put her block in even though it wasn't a batik. and I will put a picture of that block here and also the label that I put on the back of the quilt here so you can see that. So it's on the way to Maine, the state of Maine. So I hope she enjoys her quilt. I'm sure she will. She wrote a nice little note in there. She was very, very excited to get the quilt, and she has a couple of kitties, I think it is. Is it kitties? I think it's a couple of kitties, yeah, that she has, and she says they will all be snuggling up with this quilt. So that is really, really cool. eBay has finally deposited the money into my account, so I will be getting a check out to the Humane Society of the United States. I'll show you when I do that. All right, we will see you soon this weekend. Get a little sewing done if you have time. I have my long arm meeting this weekend, I think, and with something else. I have a housewarming party to go to and some things like that. I'm not sure what I'm going to get done, but I'm going to have to get done my C and D blocks for the Scrappy Celebration. So stay tuned for Monday Quilt Chat to see what I have to say about what's going on, and then also Wednesday for the week 3 of our sew along. All right, have a great weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.